Heavy traffic along EDSA, the country's main thoroughfare, has become a daily scenario. According to DPWH, there are almost 300,000 private vehicles that ply EDSA daily. These cars compose 8 of 10 vehicles on Metro Manila's main road, not to mention thousands of buses and taxis that share this 24-kilometer road. The traffic mayhem has cost us more than 2 billion pesos daily of economic and workforce losses. The Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, predicts losses will amount to 6 billion pesos daily in 2030 if the problem is not fixed. In order to ease the traffic gridlock on EDSA, Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board member Ariel Inton proposes to ban private vehicles to pass EDSA during rush hours from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning. Meanwhile, the MMDA calls Inton's proposal unrealistic, pointing that it would restrict the people's right of mobility and that until an effective mass transport system is implemented on EDSA, private motorists could not be swayed from using their vehicles. Welcome to Opposing Views, a hard, straightforward discussion of today's most pressing issues. Across different administrations, diverse plans to decongest EDSA's heavy traffic were introduced, and obviously to no avail. LTFRB's member Ariel Inton has a new proposal, and that's our debate question for tonight. We ask, is the banning of private vehicles along EDSA during rush hour the solution to decongest EDSA? Good evening, I'm Rod Mamasapano, and this is Opposing Views. All right, joining us tonight in our discussion is Ms. Zenny Maranan, President of the Federation of Jeepney Operators and Drivers Association of the Philippines, or FEDJODAP. Ma'am Zenny, good evening.
Good evening, Rod. Good evening, Dave.
Thank you for joining us again. Welcome back to Opposing Views. Ma'am, a quick summary. Ano yung position nyo with regards to this question? Should private cars be banned sa rush hours on EDSA?
Sa panig ng public utility, kami ay tumutugon sa sinasabi, nakikiayon sa sinasabi ni Board Member Ariel Inton. Sapagkat kung titignan mo, ay talaga namang kailangan sa oras na yon, sapagkat yung 3 oras na hinihingi. Sabi nga, rush hour in the morning. And it's only from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Ano ba naman yung 3 hours na ipagbigay ng ating mga kababayan?
Private cars, all right.
Private cars.
All right. Now, on the opposing side is no stranger, motoring journalist James Deacon. James, good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening,
Yeah,
Rod.
and welcome to the family.
Thank you
by the way.
very much. Thank you.
Congratulations on Drive. And what are your thoughts on this debate question?
Well, I'm sorry, I have to disagree. I'm from the private motors side. I just feel that sometimes we're always left to be taya because we are the low-hanging fruit, because we are not really a well-represented group. And so every time there's a knee-jerk reaction, it usually hits us. Nobody wants to touch the buses, nobody wants to touch the jeepneys, but private motorists, because we don't have such a loud voice, we can't publicly go on strike, we always get the short end of the stick.
All right. Okay. Now let's start our discussion. Ma'am Zenny, I'll throw the first question to you. Do you think yung private vehicles po, do you think that they're the main culprit for the traffic on EDSA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Palagay ko hindi dapat ma-open dito ang part ng mga private cars na nagmamaneho, di ba? Kasi ako may kotse din ako eh.
Yes.
Pero sabi nga ng chairman ng LTF ng MMDA at maski ng ating mga namumuno sa anay ng transportasyon, sinasabi na napakalaki ng nawawala sa ating ekonomiya sa nangyayaring traffic na nagaganap.
Yes.
Kung ating titignan sa ngayon, di po ba sa EDSA, 80% po ang private na nariyan.
80% of all the vehicles, 80% are private. Private vehicles.
Pero kung titignan mo ang public utility, 20% lang ang meron kami. At sabi niya nga kanina, wala raw tagapagtanggol at wala nagsasalita pagdating sa private. Kami man ang napupuna namin, ang mga private, pagka kami ang may kasalanan, na sa amin lahat ang Ang sisi, nasa amin lahat. Sa amin
fault.
ibinibigay lahat ang dahilan ng traffic, kami raw lahat. Pero kung titignan mo, kahit anong tingin ko, bumabiyahe ako sa EDSA, mas marami ang private kaysa sa public.
Pero
utility.
ang sinasabi nga nila, most of the time, yung nanonotice ng mga tao, no? Yung let's say, mga buses, medyo matagal sila sa bus stops, minsan 15 minutes para to get passengers and all that. And yung mga wayward, sinasabi nila mga wayward jeepney drivers, no? Ano masasabi niyo doon sa mga opinion
alam
niyo?
mo yung inihinto ng 15 minutes kung minsan ng mga buses, kasi nga traffic, di ba? So maghihintay na lang sila. Pero siguro kung maluwag ang kalye, kailangan sumunod sila doon sa batas na kailangan nilang gawin. Magsakay, magbaba, alis ka agad. Di ba? Magbaba ka, tapos magsakay ka, alis na.
Yeah. Okay.
Dahil bakit sa ibang bansa, di ba, ganun? May limit na time na para magsakay ka at magbaba ka. Kaya kailangan sumunod tayo doon. Pero para sa akin, talagang huwag ma-offend. Dahil ako'y may kotse rin, siyempre, mas gusto ko, nasa ang dadaanan ko yung lugar na maluwag. Pero ngayon, ba't ko pagugustuhin? Mas gusto ko, divert ko na lang ang sarili ko sa pagpunta sa ibang secondary road para makarating ako sa paroroonan ko.
Right. Okay, James, by banning private vehicles during rush hour or rush hours, which is the 3-hour window, no, that they were saying, do you think it will decongest EDSA by the sheer volume? As mentioned by Ma'am Zen, the sheer volume, 80% of all the vehicles on EDSA are private vehicles. Do you think that by doing that, it might ease the traffic on EDSA?
I think there's an oversimplification here, and I agreed with Ma'am Zenny's point about 20%, 80%. That's a given. But I have to say that I think if they can't cope right now with the 20%, our public transportation is bursting at the seams. We've seen it. I mean, the MRT, the buses, the jeeps, they're all full. Lalo pa if we give up our right to the private cars, okay? Now, I agree with what the mayor said of Bogota when he said that a developed nation or a rich nation is not one where the middle class are driving cars, it's where the rich are commuting.
Right.
And I would love to see a day like that. But I think we'd miss that boat. I mean, look, the infrastructure is just not there. So we have to look at other alternatives. And I think that just by banning private cars, whether it's 6 to 9 or whatever,
Or the specific
I'm against
day.
the principle of it, Rod, because I'm against our rights as private motorists. We buy a car, we pay road tax, we pay registration fees, we pay driver's license fees for 365 days a year, yet we kept getting restricted and restricted and restricted. I find it's got to be unconstitutional at least. You're telling me that I have to pay 365 days a year, then slowly you're taking away from me. Now I agree to the 6 to 9, and then they come up and they say, you know what, it's kind of working, but now it should be 6 to 9 and 6 to 9 in the evening as well. And then and it's always us, Taya. Why always us? Now,
But do you agree, though, that some of those rights, though, I mean, not all rights are absolute, right? I mean, the government
I
can
agree.
clip some of those rights.
Absolutely. I do believe that driving a personal and private car is a privilege and not a right, which is why I would tackle it from a different point of view. Rather than always restrict me, penalize me, take away my right to use my vehicle, why not charge me for the privilege? We get the same aspect when we talk about air travel and holidays. If you want to book a flight to Boracay on Easter or Holy Week, you're going to pay more, right?
Yeah.
And you expect that. You want to go and travel to visit your relatives in Christmas time, you expect to pay more. You want to travel off-peak, you pay less. Why can't we do the same with
So what you're
motoring?
saying is the gantry system, like in Singapore,
Like
where you pass
Singapore,
through
London,
EDSA,
exactly.
when you pass through EDSA, you get charged.
Exactly. Now I am given a choice, and I don't feel robbed of my rights. Okay, I understand what you're saying about, yes, there's police powers, and they still have the right to regulate. But I'm given that decision to make. So if I go to work, and I know this from when I used to work in the heart of the city in Salcedo, a lot of the employees who were sort of around middle income, maybe 15, 20, 25,000, they had a private car. They were allowed to freely travel on EDSA wherever they wanted to go, but parking would cost them somewhere around 10 grand a month. They made a decision, it's not worth it. But the decision is theirs. So I say the same thing. We look at congestion charges so that we can say, do I really need to travel at peak time?
Yeah, okay.
The decisions with me. Maybe I can talk to my boss and say, boss, can I come in at maybe 10 o'clock? Could we work out some kind of thing like that? Because it's the same way that our employees used to talk to us about the traffic and the parking problem. They would say, listen, is there any way you can negotiate in my package a parking space here? like that. That's where I'm getting at. I just don't think that we keep being the butt of all these regulations because we are not very well represented. I mean, ma'am, you represent the jeepneys, the buses are well represented. All of these groups have great spokespeople.
And they have a loud voice.
They have a loud voice. For private motors, none.
Okay. Ma'am Zenny, ang point ni James na bring up niya, and I think it's an important point, is that kung binawal niyo yung mga private cars sa EDSA, then all of these people na hindi na magdadala ng private cars, they will obviously take the public transportation, which as of now, medyo puno na. Nakita natin MRT, halos tulakan na and everything, and the buses as well. No? Anong masasabi niyo doon? In other words, the public transportation system cannot accommodate itong mga tao na mag-give up ng private cars and they will ride public transportation. What can you say about that?
Yun yung kumare hinihiling natin sa ating gobyerno na kumare ayusin nila itong public transport natin. Di ba? Like yung halimbawa, yung mga aircon jeep na yan. Hindi kasi kailangan ayusin talaga yung aming public transport.
Kailangan talaga
kasi kung maayos yan, palagay ko itong mga taon to, yung mga private na bumibili ng kotse na kahit maliit lang ang kanilang kita. Kasi sa ngayon, may 50 mil ka lang, pwede ka na mag-uwi na isang kotseng maliit, di ba?
Mas maliit pa nga, di ba? May mga
diba?
down payment na...
At sa ngayon, kung mapupunan nyo, maliliit ang nauuso pagkat para mabilis silang maka-singit-singit. Dahil yung dati naging malaki lahat. Ngayon, paliitan na naman. Pero sa amin, tutumbukin pa rin namin sa panig namin na kailangan talaga baguhin yung aming transport. Tulungan din naman natin itong pagsasaayos nito. Pagkat kung ito'y magiging maayos, palagay ko, kahit na sila ay ayaw nilang sumakay sa isang pampublikong sasakyan, sasakay sila kung maganda ito. Like aircon jeep. Halimbawa, ginawa mong aircon jeep ang pumapasada dyan sa EDSA. Di ba?
Maraming sasakay niyan.
Oo. Siguro naman, at tapos nariyan, nakahanda ang ating mga enforcer, ang ating mga kapulisyan, na umaalalay sa mga pampublikong tumatakbong sasakyan dyan, pagkat alam mo naman, nandyan yung hold-upan, nandyan yung tutukan. Kailangan, nariyan pa rin yun. Hindi basta inayos natin yung aming hanay. Pero kailangan din, nakabantay dyan yung ating naman mga enforcer. Diba? Para bigyan ng proteksyon ang mga sumasakay.
Correct. Which is another issue altogether. But we need to take a short break, Ma'am Zenny. Meanwhile, we invite you to weigh in via Facebook at facebook.com/opposingviews on 9TV or tweet your thoughts at opposing_views. Use the hashtag OVCarban. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views. I'm Ron Nepomuceno. We have with us Ms. Zenny Maranan and James Deacon. And our debate question for tonight is the banning of private vehicles along EDSA during rush hours, the solution to decongest EDSA. Now, James, LTFRB's Ariel Linton said that this is not a total ban. It's private cars can still travel through a somewhat reverse number coding scheme. I think what he means by that, usually now plate numbers that end with 1 and 2 are not allowed from 6 to 9. So he'll reverse that. Those ending 1 and 2 will be allowed, and all the rest will not be allowed 6 to 9. So kind of reversing it. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay. There's just so much to talk about because I think we really got to go back to the fundamental problem. But hopefully we get there. I'll answer your question now. Once again, I do agree that we do need a radical solution. I think that if you do that, why did we build roads like this in the first place? To decongest the side streets. If you think about it like a water pipe, and you have pipes that are really small like this, and the city can't cope. So the city engineer builds this big pipe down the center. Now the water's flowing. And all of a sudden somebody says, you know what? From a certain time, at peak time, we will start closing that pipe. What do you think is going to happen to the small pipes? They're going to burst. It can't cope. Those side streets cannot cope. Another thing, if you really want to do that, and you really want to kick us out of EDSA and main thoroughfare like that, not that I'm saying I still will agree with it, but I will come close to perhaps seeing the other side if you were super strict about people using the roadways as their parking lots. Start getting strict about that. You own a car, where are you parking it? Okay. I mean, we're in a big city now. We need to think like that, like Japan. We need to think places like Tokyo, etc., where you say, before you buy a car, you have to guarantee you have a place to park that car. You cannot park on the roadway. You cannot block the things because these secondary streets are completely full. You know, you see these garages sometimes in these side streets where they actually extend their gates out into the street because the cars don't fit. Okay, so we have to look at so many things. I wish I could just answer questions like bite size, but if I could just slightly veer off topic and hopefully bring this up.
Sure.
We're talking about a lot of, I think that the public transportation system here should be state-run. I really disagree fundamentally with the fact.
Should be state-run.
State-run. I don't think that a public transportation system should be in private sector. Because the thing is, you end up competing. That is a public service. It should be a public service, like in Australia and England and all these other places. The government run it because that's part of your public transportation system where your taxes go, etc. Now you remove the incentive. A lot of our problem is not necessarily the volume, and I'm sure everyone will agree with me here. It's not necessarily the volume of buses and the volume of jeeps that we're talking about. It's the discipline. And the fact that they're side by side like this on the road and they're taking up 5 lanes when they're supposed to only take up 2 because they're trying to compete like gladiators. Because why? They need to eat. Yes, it's private. Whereas in a country like Australia, when I lived there for 12 years, and I used to catch a bus every day, and you'd go and you would run to the bus stop, and that bus would leave at 9:36 a.m., for example. And the bus driver could see you in his mirror running up to the stop. And wait. 9:36 happens, and he's off.
Yeah.
Why?
He will not
He's
wait.
not being a jerk. He's just saying, if I wait for you, I'm going to be late for the next bus stop. And I'm just paid the salary to keep my time.
All right.
I'm not paid per passenger.
Right.
So this way, it keeps it in if let's say we had a state-run system and all the buses were run, there's no incentive for the government to keep 5,000 buses out there at noon. Because they would know by sheer, what's your occupancy? Sir, we're at 30% now.
They lower the number of buses.
Then we keep them in the depot and dispatch as needed. Sir, we're starting to get full. Boom.
But because it's private, they're going
They're
out
all
lunchtime
competing.
and all that.
They got to make their money.
Okay, and I'm sure Ma'am Zenny has some thoughts on that. Ma'am Zenny, basically the position of James, gawin na lang public, meaning government run ang public transportation. Obviously, you're private, FEDUDAP is a group of private owners, no, of operators,
Yes,
right?
yes.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think the government should be running the public transportation system na lang?
Alam mo, may pagkukulang din naman ng ating gobyerno eh. Sino ba nagpapapasok ng mga kotse dito? Papasok ng iba-ibang kotse para kumita ng kumita ang ating ano. Hindi na inisip nila.
Hindi nire-restrict yung
yung
nililimit
mangyayari
ano,
na kung ang lahat ay nakakayang bumili sa pamamagitan ng mga hulugan dahil binibigyan ng pagkakataon. Hindi naman masama yun eh, karapatan natin yun, di ba? Pero dapat isipin din nila. Hindi yung basta payagan na lamang. Kasi ang nangyayari ngayon eh, sa amin kasi, ang nararamdaman namin, basta merong kaguluhan, merong nangyayari hindi maganda sa daan, ang may kasalanan, public transport. It's not the private. Pero kung titignan mo, pare-pareho lang kami. Driver ng public, driver ng private.
So ang sinabi ni James, parang yung discipline ba? Yung ang nakikita yung mga jeepneys at mga buses medyo gumigit-git at saka humaharang. Kayo ba will you concede or will you agree na yung mga public vehicles lang ang gumaganon or pati yung mga private
Pati private din naman. Minsan nga mas marami pa yung private eh. Alam mo sa public transport kaya nangyayari yan because of the kotong. Kung nababawasan ang kita ng isang nagmamanehong super ng jeepney, talagang kailangan magmadali ka.
Another topic yan altogether.
Yes.
No? Another topic yan. No?
Kaya kailangan, hindi po pwedeng sasabihin kami lang eh. At tama rin naman ang kay James. Kailangan talaga may disiplina. Kailangan may kamay na bakal na gagamitin dito. Gamitin talaga ang kamay na bakal kung paano. Pero sa paanong paraan? Sa pamamaraan ng ang mga enforcer na merong karapatang may panikit, ay dapat talagang gawin nila yung trabaho nila. Di ba? Kung titignan mo, Rod, ako sa nakikita ko, bakit ba itong nangyayari ngayon? Nagrireklamo kagad ang mga private. Ako kung tutuusin, dapat magreklamo rin ako. Pagkat sabi nga ni Chairman Tolentino, inalisan mo ang karapatang pantao ng isang tao, di ba?
Correct. Yung right to mobility, sinabi ni MMDA Tolentino, ma-affect yung right of mobility ng mga tao.
Tama yun. Pero kung minsan, alam natin na ang traffic ay nakakasama sa atin ngayon. Nagkakagulo-gulo. Hindi ba pwedeng magbigay ang mga private owners ng kotse, di ba, yung mga private owners, ng pagkakataon na ngayon muna lang sila magbibigay ng sinasabing rush hour na alisin muna sila, o kung hindi lang yung rush hour na yan, ano yung iba pang alternatibo? Di ba? Tumbukin natin ang rush hour. Dahil yan, kaya tayo nandito because of the rush hour na isinuggest ni board member Inton. Hindi pa sila makapagbibigay ngayon, samantalang alam nyo, ang ginagawa ng gobyerno ngayon, gawa ng mga
skyway or
mga highway
yeah.
na alam natin by 2018 saka pa lang matatapos. Bakit hindi tayo magsakripisyo? Total, pagdating ng 2018, masaya tayong lahat.
Okay, the way I read it, James, the way I'm reading Ma'am Zenny is that the public transportation or public vehicles, all right, they're for the common good. The car owners are really for themselves. Why can't the private car owners sacrifice a bit?
In theory, I absolutely agree. In theory, once again, but in reality, it's not working. I would love to commute. I commute whenever I travel to places like Singapore. I would never dream of owning a car in Singapore.
Yeah, no way.
I wouldn't. Why? Because the public transportation system's effective. Now I own a private car and I use my private car because number one, I value my safety first and foremost.
Yeah. Kasi pag public
I
transportation
value my family's safety first and foremost. Otherwise, I would. Now, we'll open a slight discussion here. I'll throw a little thing here
All right.
about, you know, when you say if the system was working and it was efficient, I think I agree 100% with your point. But the fact is that we have a fundamental problem with the fact that it's privatized and they're competing. The discipline will always be a problem.
Private and public, because obviously, right?
Well, I'm talking about when you privatize the public transportation system, you will naturally set up a very competitive environment, which is why the jeepney will stop there in the middle of the street and he's just going to create a backlog because he's just going to wait until his jeepney's full. He's got to eat too.
Ma'am Zemi, tama yun eh. Nakikita natin yun, di ba? Mga buses, tsaka mga jeep, minsan they'll stop, wala nga tayong jeepney stop eh. Normally, kung saan kakatok yung pasahero,
kasalanan ba ng buses? Kasalanan ba ng jeepney? Yun nga yung hinahanap namin eh. Dahil kasi pag walang mga signages, nahuhuli kami.
Yes.
Samantalang, dapat, kung may signages na nakalagay na bawal dito nagsakay kami, tikitan kami. Eh, walang nakalagay, magsasakay kami, tinitikitan kami. Kaya kawawa din kami pagdating
So, sinasabi nyo, dahil walang designated jeepney stops, mga, you know, you
sa
can
private
board
cars,
and,
sa private cars, suggestion, pag-aralan, bakit hindi yung mga lumang sasakyan ngayon ay tanggalin na natin?
I agree 100%. But let's take away the jeeps first because that's 1940.
At bakit tayo magbibigay ng kotse sa isang taong gustong magkakotse kung wala naman siyang garahe?
Yeah, I agree with that. I suggested that. I mean, if you're going to live in the metro, you have to provide a garage for your car. Going back to the thing about the 15-year rule, that was also floated. I think that's a great rule in a first world country. I don't think it's going to apply in a third world country. I think it's anti-middle class, anti-poor. I'm not saying I completely disagree with it. Like I said, I'd gladly support it, and I think everyone would. But start with the jeeps because they are pre-war.
Should we start with the jeeps, Ma'am Jenny?
Alam mo, sa amin ganito yan eh.
World War II pa iba dyan,
sa public transport, ganito yan eh. Umapayag naman. Sa private, ang gusto namin, kasi kami sinisisi, di ba? Ang masasabi ko lang sa kanila, ang private, tanggalin talaga yung luma, agree siya. Pero sa amin din, agree din ako na tanggalin yung luma. Pagka luma, tanggalin natin, palitan natin ng bago. Di ba? Pero kami, nananatili kami doon sa prangkisang yun na kung hindi magdadagdag ang gobyerno, nandun pa rin kami. Pag sinabing 20% lang kami, 20% lang kami. Ang kailangan lang sa amin, baguhin ang aming sasakyan para makitang maganda ng mananakay para sumakay sila, di ba? Baguhin ang sistema, katulad ng paglalagay nga ng mga aircon, di ba? Aircon jeep.
Pero assuming, ngayon, Ma'am Jenny, kasi wala yung sistema, yung public transportation system that's being provided for us, no? Hindi maganda yung sistema eh. But let's go back to the question, no? Yung kay Inton. Itong car ban na sinasuggest niya, yung mangyayari nga is that, kasi sang-ayon kayo, sabi nyo, pero mangyayari nun, there will be less people taking private cars na sasakay sa mga public transportation system na as of the moment, minsan 2-hour wait sa MRT, di ba? Minsan 3-hour wait para makakuha ng jeepney. Paano masusolusyonan 'yon? Of course, pwede natin sabihin na dapat tugunan ng gobyerno 'yan. Pero let's say, wala muna. Let's say, ito muna yung solusyon na sinabi nila na yung car ban nga for these 3 hours. Kaya ba ng public transportation system to take on all of the private car owners na magpa-public transportation na lang? Kaya ba?
Bakit naman di namin kakayanin?
Kasi puno na ngayon eh. Puno na ngayon.
Hindi rin. Kasi pag talagang halimbawa sa EDSA, kung talagang sasabihin natin, makikita natin kulang ang public transport, di magdagdag tayo ng konti, di ba? Get it from the other side naman na doon mo ilagay siya. Kasi pwede namang i-divert yan eh. Kung talagang nasa paggawa ng memorandum circular yan o department order ng DOTC para sa amin, di ba? Pwede magdagdag yan. Pero talagang sabihin na natin ang katotohanan, bagamat ako'y may sasakyan, talaga naman ang nakaka-istorbo naman talaga ang private talaga. Ngayon, dahil meron tayong sinasabing karapatan natin, karapatan pantao, at yan ang dapat natin, yan ang gusto natin, pangarap natin na matupad na magkaroon ka ng sasakyan, pero ilagay natin sa saayos. Okay. Ngayon, yung oras na ito na sinasabi, nagbebeg lang. Sinasuggest nyo lang sa private sector. Buti nga, nagkaroon ng lakas ng loob ang isang board member ng LTFRB na ibuka ng kanyang mga lobby itong suwestyon na ito, bagkat nakikita niya na talaga naman ang daloy ng trapiko bilang private siya. Nandun din siya sa traffic, gusto niya rin maalis yung traffic at gusto niya makarating sa paroroonan niya ng maayos. Ngayon, kung magbibigayan tayo, ang private at saka ang public, kami, anong ipagbibigay namin? Ang amin, ang hinahanap lang nila, pag ganyan-ganyan kasi kami. Eh di, nasa enforcer yan. Para disiplinahin kami.
Nasa inyo rin yan. Okay, we'll talk about that discipline part in a short while. We need to take a short break right now. More issues about regulating private cars along EDSA when we return. You're watching Opposing Views. Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views. I'm Rod Nepomuceno. Still with us is Ms. Zenny Maranan, and on the opposing side is Mr. James Deacon. And our question for tonight is the banning of private vehicles along EDSA during rush hours, the solution to decongest EDSA. Now, James, I'll throw the question to you. I agree with you. I think that gantry suggestion is great. Basically you charge people who will take EDSA, for example. EDSA is the premier highway, and they do that in Singapore and other places. Wherein if you take a premium highway, you basically get charged, no? And you'll have this RFID system where it's charged against your card, a prepaid card. However, we know that system will take years to happen, no? And much as we'd like it to happen tomorrow, it's probably not going to happen in the next 3 or 5 years. Meantime, we need really good solutions now because it's obviously bad. No? So my question is, can private vehicles, for example, because you have more, or we're all private car owners, we have more leeway, we have more flexibility in our routes or route, depending on if you're English or American. We have flexibility in our routes, and therefore, perhaps, as Ma'am Zenny was saying, since we have that flexibility, we can actually go in the back part, no, and try to avoid EDSA during those rush hour ban period. What are your thoughts on that? Considering that we don't have, I agree with you about the gantry solution, but it's obviously not in the pipeline at the moment.
Once again, I hate to keep repeating myself. In theory, makes sense again, but we can't tackle this problem without solving the fundamental problem. Yes, I think the idea of having EDSA reserved for public transportation with a limited amount of cars would make sense if the buses were once again state-run, disciplined, non-competing, stayed in their lanes, if they just stuck to their 2 lanes and did it like the Transmilenio in Colombia, where they go on the inner lane. Rather than right now they're on the right lane.
Isn't there a rule already that the buses are supposed to be inner lane and private vehicles outside?
You have to have, the problem is you need a little infrastructure, not much, but you need infrastructure, you need footbridges across. So if right now they're on the curbside, right? If you have them along where the MRT is, you would force the commuters to have to actually go at a stop. Why? Because they have to walk over a flybridge. And in fact, you make the buses like they are in Transmilenio, where the door is actually so high, you literally can't mount it from the street level. It has to come to a platform like an MRT. So by default, you are actually going to make sure that they board in platforms. Now, another thing is they are dedicated to that lane. Cars cannot enter that lane.
Yes.
They cannot. So cars, it'll be a free-flowing thing here. And if cars need to make a left turn, well, they have to make a right at the intersection, and it works. Okay, I'll just use this analogy. I remember this story, whether it was an urban legend or not, but the point is regardless. During the early days of space travel, when the Russians and Americans were competing, trying to get to space first, well, they did. The Americans realized that they had this problem with writing up in space because the pens wouldn't work in zero gravity because it needs gravity. So there was a problem. So they spent millions and millions and millions of dollars, and after several years of research and millions of dollars later, they came up with a pen that could write in zero gravity.
Okay.
And the Russians brought a pencil. So I'm just saying there are simple solutions out there. Let's not overcomplicate it and always pick on the private motorists. I'm saying we can do little solutions like this. One, clear the roads, all the parking spaces, okay? And make that my choice whether I want to go secondary routes, etc.
So basically, if it's a road, you can't park.
Those secondary roads, There are some roads like, it's if you go when it's areas a little bit bigger, dedicated parking. Have it zoned, basically. But there's some places where there's literally, they take up one lane and that's where all the congestion happens, right? I mean, it's up to the zoning whether, if they're obstructing. They're obstructing, they should be off.
Yeah.
Right? It shouldn't be there. These ASBUs, these anti-smoke belching units, I'm sure you've experienced this.
Yes.
What do? They stand there at the narrowest point of every road, and then they collate all the trucks and Isuzu Crosswinds and all that. They like to pick on certain makes. They'll bring them all in here. Sometimes
they'll cross in the middle of the
cross
road.
In the middle. So you get all this traffic creating all this pollution so that they can enforce a law that they're actually breaking themselves. Because you're now losing man hours there. Ban that completely. Because they're saying, no, but we have to check because, you checked that when you registered my car. We don't trust them. Why is that my problem? They're the same government agency. I'm sorry, but you know what? If you can't trust them there, you may as well have one at every street corner.
Right.
Okay, little things like that. I feel so passionate about this, Rod, that I'm at the point where I think criminal charges should be filed on people who cause traffic deliberately, either from stupidity or ignorance, or if you're going to set up a roadblock like that and force traffic, it's no different from me taking your wallet now and stealing.
Right.
I'm stealing your time, I'm stealing your money, your gasoline, the environment,
everyone's time.
Everyone's time. And you should be liable for that. That's how strongly I feel.
All right, Ma'am Jenny, I know you were agreeing to that, no? Yung
Agree.
mga kasi kayo rin ini-impound.
Sa totoo, sinasangayunan ko si James. Bakit?
Okay.
Totoo naman yun eh. Ang tunay na may kasalanan din kung minsan, kaya nagkakaroon
Yung
ng
government
sobrang
din.
trapiko, yung gobyerno, yung mga
I agree with that.
nanguhuli, yung mga naninikit. Nagtatago sila, para hindi makita, tapos biglang makikita mo na lang, paparahin ka. Imbis na patabihin yung sasakyan, haharangin na kagad yan, na minsan kinakausap, hindi na inisip na may nakasunod doon na nagsimula na yung traffic. Kaya kung minsan talaga ako...
minsan naman kasi talaga, pag nakita mo na yung mga taong yun, tapos pinapara ka na, talagang yung mga ibang tao, they'll avoid, di ba? Tatakas sila na. Even in coding, di ba? Minsan tatakas kang ganun. So, nangyayari talaga yon. But let's go back to the question po, no? Regarding Mr. Inton's suggestion. Ang sinuggest niya lang, morning. Sabi niyo, sangayon kayo. So, but sinuggest niya lang morning. I have a question there. Kasi, obviously, there's gridlock at night. Minsan, mas grabe pa yung gridlock at night. Just the other day, there was a thunderstorm and some people were stuck for 5 hours, 6 hours. Now, is this, kasi ang tingin ko dito, parang, is this like Manila's track ban na, it will have a serious damage to the economy, even to the point na, of course, you want to decongest the roads, pero di ba magkaka-impact yan sa economy na naman, just like the Manila track ban?
Yung sa Manila track ban, medyo naayos na ngayon kung titignan natin. Pero talagang minsan, ang naging dahilan talaga niyan, yung ginawang Manila track ban, di ba? Nagsimula ang mga traffic dahil kung saan-saan pinadaan na hindi sanay yung tao, inaasahan nila nandun, biglang nagkaipon-ipon lahat. Pero para sa akin, wag na nating sisihin yan. Siguro, ang magkabilang panig, ang transport at saka kami sa EDSA, bakit gusto namin yung alas 6 hanggang alas 9? Kami yung sasakyang pwedeng sakyan ng mga nagtatrabaho sa mga merong negosyo. Mga factory o mga opisina, na yan lang ang kayang sakyan ng mga empleyado nila. Na kailangan sa oras nandun sila sa kanilang opisina na pagtatrabahuan.
Okay.
So, yung mga bossy na may mga kotse, pwede naman silang malate. Katulad na sinabi kanina ni James, tatanungin niya na lang ang boss niya, pwede ba? Dahil hanggang 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock na lang ako dumating. 1 hour siguro, kung talagang maluwag na yan, makakarating na.
Pero yung mga rank and file, hindi sila gano'n. Wala silang flexibility ng gano'n.
Kami yung talagang sasakyan lang nila eh. Yun, kaya kami, uma-agree kami dito. Uma-agree kami. Pero kung tatanungin mo bilang isang tao, kung kanya-kanya tayong desisyon, kasi ang napupuna ko, basta merong nagsasuggest tayo na bakit hindi ganito ang gawin ng gobyerno, ba't hindi gawin ng ganito, tayo mismo, sinisimulan palang magbigay ng suwestyon eh. Lahat tayo
tumitira na.
Tumitira na kagad eh. Hindi na lang, imbis na tumira ka eh, bakit hindi ka magbigay na lang ng suwestyon? Kung po pwedeng pumunta ka doon, o kausapin mo, o kahit through email, alam mo naman yung address noon, magbigay ka, kesa magtatalo-talo, di ba? Na para bang, sa akin, parang, ano ito? Parang nagpapasikat tayo, ganon, di ba? Kaya sa akin, siguro, ang pinakamaganda talaga, para maging maayos ang ating bayan, yung ibinigay na suwestyon, sinusuwestyon pa lang, kinukuha nga yung comment, kung medyo matutuloy ng konti, because meron ngang mga ginagawang mga infrastructure, di ba?
So you're saying, why not try it lang? Try it natin.
Siguro naman pag natapos yan, pwede na nating ibalik yung normal.
Alright, I want to get your opinion, Jenny and James. No, I want you to react to Mr. Inton's statement as quoted by Philippine Star. No, and he said, "Let the early birds like students, teachers, and employees use EDSA and the Metro Rail Transit first, and followed by the middle managers, and the last are those occupying top positions who, as mentioned by Zenny, don't have to rush going to their offices. They are those who can perform their specific roles using cell phones and other high-tech gadgets." James, I'm going to let you react to that first.
And I can ask also, why don't they lead by example and have the government set their own staggered working hours? They've got a lot of government employees. Why don't they start with themselves? Why don't they say, you know what? Instead of having us all start at the same time as the private sector, why don't we start our government workers at 11 in the morning
maybe
until
7
at 9?
Earlier, yeah.
Because usually when people want to use a government office, they use it in their lunch breaks and after hours.
Right.
But they take the same lunch breaks as we do, and then they close shop an hour usually before we close shop. So why don't you move your staggered hours and lead by example? I agree, you know, that the students and stuff, that would be great. Okay, you have a student card, etc. How are you going to determine who's middle management and who's senior management?
Right.
What, is the security guard going to check your TIN and your income and your salin? I mean, how do you do that? I just can't understand why that would just create more drama than anything. So I would say, make the government start, lead by example, stagger working hour for all government employees.
So that you spread them out.
So you spread them out.
Some will come
because you're in control of that.
Yeah.
I think that anything that they want to use as guinea pigs, instead of using private motors, use themselves. For example, I mean, you want to talk about phasing out old vehicles, make sure all the government vehicles are now either alternative fuels or electric or clean. You know, we have an alternative fuels vehicle Incentives Act, you know, you could kickstart it with the government. There's enough vehicles out there and government workers. So I think, once again, it's not addressing the problem. I think it's going back to the pencil and the pen thing.
Right. Ma'am Jenny, your reaction po sa sinabi ni Mr. Inton. Yun nga, yung sinabi niya nga, no, like let the early birds, like students, teachers, employees, use EDSA and MRT. Tapos yung mga middle managers, yun nga, sila yung dapat magbigay, yung mga may kotse. Ganun.
Siguro, tama naman yun para sa atin. Kung titignan natin, kasi, kumbaga sana, bakit di natin subukan?
Why not just try it?
Oo. Sabihin natin, subukan natin ng 1 buwan, 2 buwan. Kung makita natin may pagkakamali o may pagkukulang, ituwid natin, mag-isip tayo ng ibang paraan. Kasi talagang hindi na natin mapipigil yung traffic eh.
Do you
Diba?
think, James, it's worth a shot, or you think it's another band-aid solution?
I think it's a band-aid solution, and I think I'm also not alone in feeling that we're tired of being used as lab rats. When the problem is pretty much staring us in the face, it's the white elephant in the room playing the banjo. It is the discipline and of the buses and jeeps on EDSA that are causing most of the traffic. They may only be 20%, but the discipline levels are creating havoc there. I mean, going back to the thing where they actually stop and wait till they unload, it's even worse than that. I've spoken to the bus operators, I've spoken to some bus drivers. The tactic there is they don't just want to fill their bus. They angle it like that for a reason, to block the other buses. It's competing. So they actually are like that. Now, you talked about Kotong. I've been told by the bus operators, huge problem, right? It's a huge problem that they have and whatever. If you were government run, I don't think there would be as much Kotong there. Because you're not running a private business. You're not trying. So the government workers, the MMDA, and whoever else is enforcing, they have no reason to. They just, and you as a bus driver have no reason to cause delay. You just want to keep moving because you're paid a salary either way.
Right.
So that's why I think we should solve that problem first before we keep doing experiments on let's try it this hour, let's ban this, let's do a 50. You know, we're sick and tired of it because we can see the problem staring us straight in the face. Solve the bus problem there on EDSA. Make them stick to the one lane. If you could do that while they're privately run, fine. But I think we've tried it. It's the same as my speed limiter campaign. I went on a speed limiter campaign because I think if we leave it up to them, we see what happens. Late at night, they're speeding either on the Skyway, on Commonwealth, or whatever, because they're either tired, some of them might be on drugs, they're trying to make up time that they lost during the day. You cannot have a passive safety system. You need active safety. That's why when they installed the GPS, I was very disappointed, because I thought that's not the issue. The issue is to mechanically and electronically strangle them and cage them to prevent them from doing these things, because we've tried the other route. And the same with enforcement. We've tried with the sticks and disciplining. We need to now cage them with either technology or take away the incentive.
All right. All right, we need to take a short break. Don't go away. When we come back, the results of our online poll on the issue and the final words of our guests. Stay tuned. You're watching Opposing Views. Welcome back. This is Opposing Views. I'm Rod Nepomuceno. Still with us is Ms. Zenny Maranan of FEDJUDAP and motoring journalist James Deacon. Our question is the banning of private vehicles along EDSA during rush hours the solution to decongest EDSA. Now, Ma'am Zenny, again, you're for the pro side. No? You agree with this proposal by Mr. Ariel Inton of the LTFRB. Now, some are criticizing or critiquing yung kina-question nila yung proposal na yan. And basically saying, we can't do that. We have to improve our transportation system first. And basically, they're saying, yung proposal na yan is unrealistic. Anong masasabi niyo doon?
Tama yung sinasabi mo, Rod, na kailangan talaga ibaguhin yung ating transport system, di ba? Pero sa ngayon, na tayong pare-pareho, public utility and private cars, nagkakaroon ng karanasan dito sa traffic na ito. Yung mga suggestion na yan, gawin natin unti-unti.
Problema ngayon
pero ngayon, gawa natin ang solusyon. Bakit hindi magbigay ang private cars para nang sa ganun, subukan natin na lumuwag tayo. Kung hindi lumuwag at pareho pa rin, ibalik natin sa dati.
Let's try something else.
Di ba? Kailangan talaga magbigayan. Kung alam ko na lalo na sa mga businessman, iniisip nyo kagad yung kayo ay hindi makakarating doon sa ano nyo, bakit gano'n, parang pinigil na yung oras nyo kung gusto nyo lumakad na maaga o whatever. Pero kailangan bagamat ang puso natin ay naiinis na tayo talaga. Sa totoo, ang nafe-feel ko kay James, marami kang pagtatanong na bakit ganito. Ako din Dahil ang gusto ko, maayos na bayan. Ang gusto ko, maayos na transportasyon upang pakinabangan ng lahat ng tao. Pero ano ang gagawin natin kahit nasa isip at puso natin, gusto natin to, kung ayaw namang kumilos ang kinauukulang mga ahensya ng transportasyon at ng pamahalaan, wala tayong magagawa. Ano ngayon ang magagawa natin bilang isang mamamayan? Huwag na nating isipin ako'y panig ng transport, huwag nating isipin ikaw ay panig ng private. Private din ako may kotse din ako Pero ang kinakailangan lang dito siguro bilang isang tao, kung ikaw ay makadiyos, makabayan, makatao, na sinasabi na talagang gusto mong makatulong, magbigayan tayo, pumunta tayo sa gitna ngayon. Subukan natin, try out natin. Pag walang nangyari, balik natin at dapat pukpukin natin. Pukpukin natin ang gobyerno na talagang magtrabaho sila dahil ang dami rin naman talaga nilang pagkukulang. Nakikita lang natin ang traffic sa EDSA. Nakita ba ninyo mga private cars? Nasabi nyo ba ang traffic sa mga side street? Sa mga katulad del example natin, Manila, part ng Quezon City, part ng yung sa lugar ng mga Novaliches na nagta-traffic. Nakita nyo ba yun? Wala nagre-reklamo. Nagtsatsaga ang tao. Because nandun na yun eh. Dahil ang inisip na lang ng tao, nagpasensya sila, umunawa sila sa sinasabi nila ng gobyerno natin na pwede ba magtyaga tayo kasi ginagawa na nga yung alternative na mga daan na gagawin na dadagdagan ng mga dadaanan ng MRT, LRT para madagdagan o yung mga tren dadagdagan upang nang sa ganon ay lumuwag ang ating traffic, di ba? Isang paano lang, suggestion sa mga private. Kasi dahil sa 50 mil nga, you can bring your own car eh. Pwede mo nang dalhin eh. Bakit hindi natin lakihan ng taxes sa kotse? Para pagbili nila, ikaw na isang, ito lang ang kinikita mo, hindi ka bibili.
Let me take off from that. James, do you agree with that? Increase the taxes on cars?
Absolutely not. I think we should. I think we should be decreasing the taxes. I think the taxes on cars here are outrageous. I mean, you can buy you go to
It's not like Singapore, though.
Singapore is outrageous too.
Yeah,
but once again, look at their public transportation system.
Yeah.
So you can be as ridiculous as Singapore. I think Singapore is a little too extreme. But look what they give you back in return. Okay, as far as the taxes are concerned, I think that's outrageous. We pay way too much for our cars already. I would suggest decrease the taxes on cars. Hear me out. If you decrease the tax on cars, it's no different to what I call the Candy Crush syndrome or even the cell phone syndrome. These things, they make them as cheap as possible. You pay for the calls. You're paying for the use. The same with the apps. Nowadays, you see the business model of apps. You go to your favorite app store and you go to your app store and you pick out a favorite app. Candy Crush, it became crazy. Free. Wow, this is a great game. Somebody spent millions to develop this and he's giving it for free. This is a great game. They get you hooked and then boom, you run out of lives. You got to either buy the lives or beg somebody to give them for you. So now it becomes you self-regulate yourself. Keep the cars cheap because you want an industry to thrive. Now, it's up to you how you use that car. That's what I'm talking about. You pay per use. You're saying to them, cars are now cheap, tax is very minimal, everyone can now own a car.
But increase the gas?
The auto industry is doing well.
Yeah.
Okay? There are jobs for everybody. That's a thriving industry. My kids eat because I earn from the auto industry. Make the gas more expensive. Make the congestion charge higher. Make you think before you get into that car. Yes, I can afford the car, but can I afford to use it? That's how we tackle it.
But increasing the gas, though, would increase their
You know,
costs as well.
I would say why you
system.
can give subsidies to public transportation. I agree with that. If it's being run properly, you can give subsidies. But for me, when gas prices soared through the roof, all right, I started really measuring every trip I took. So take it from there. Don't take it from the purchase price because then you're not going to allow that person to have a car. Maybe in New York they all have they have cars, but they don't take them out. But they do on the weekends when they go out of town. That's when they use it. But it's just too prohibitive to take it out, and then they make that decision.
James, just from a math standpoint, all right, if you reverse, according to Mr. Inton, if you reverse it, because currently those plate numbers ending 1 and 2 are not allowed 6 to 9, right? Now he's reversing it. He's allowing, on Mondays, he's going to be allowing 1 and 2 and banning the rest. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 will not be allowed from 6 to 9. From a purely math standpoint, and again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, it seems to work. It will prevent those people, more cars, from going to EDSA.
Why don't we just ban all cars?
Will you concede that it's worth a shot?
No, I think if we're thinking along those lines, we're once again not tackling the real issue here. Why not ban all cars? Because if you do the math, there'll be no traffic. But is that reasonable? It's not. You see, it's oversimplistic. You're looking at, oh, there's traffic, let's ban cars. No, why don't you build more roads? Or why don't you build a better transportation system? You have to come up with another solution. Now, I agree with you once again in principle, by math alone. But okay, so you ban cars and you're taking them off the road, but where are these cars going to go? They're either going to go on the side streets, like I said, and burst those pipes, in the water pipe analogy, or they're going to try and take public transportation, which is already bursting at the seams. And it's another thing about not just volume, like I keep talking about, it's safety. First and foremost, it's the safety of me and my family why I choose to drive a private car.
Right.
And I'll just end with this one thing. You know, there are these apps out there right now that are under a hell of a lot of fire, Uber and all these kinds of things, LTFRBs on them, saying that, you know, they shouldn't be operating without a regulatory permit. They wouldn't be successful if the taxis were efficient and people weren't getting raped and killed. I get letters almost every month about somebody who got raped and killed in a taxi, and that's unacceptable because that's the only job of a regulatory board, is to keep us safe. If a private company could do that better, well, give the power of choice to people.
Right. Okay. Unfortunately, ma'am, unfortunately, James, we only have 1 hour. This should at least be a 2 hour show. You were saying this could be done in 15 minutes, but no, it's 1 hour's 1 hour's actually not enough. So we only have time for your final words, ma'am. So, Ma'am Zenny, go ahead. Your final words.
Rod, James, palagay ko, tama yung kanina sinabi mo, di ba? Kailangan bigyan kami ng subsidy. Gusto kong malaman mo, walang subsidy dito sa Pilipinas para sa transport. Yun ang hinahanap namin pagkat nakita namin yan sa ibang bansa upang maging maganda ang ano, pero wala. Pero nagpapasensya kami, hindi na namin pinapansin to pagkat gusto namin magserbisyo sa publiko. Lalo na kami ang kayang sakyan lang ng mga mahihirap na tao. At kung titignan mo, James, mas marami ang mahirap dito sa Pilipinas kaysa sa may mga kaya. Kaya, diyan ka talaga babaksak. Ang masasabi ko lamang, parting word, magbigayan tayo. Alisin muna natin yung medyo malilate tayo o medyo na ano yung ating ego dahil bigla tayong tinanggal, dahil private cars tayo. Kami kasi yung may kasalanan. Kami nga, nagsusuhestyon na kami kung ano-ano para bumuti lang yung aming transport, pero ayaw kami papakinggan. Nagpapasensya rin kami. Puro huli na lang kami. Siguro, pumunta tayo sa gitna. Magbigayan tayo. Subukan nyo ang resuhestyon ni Board Member Ariel Linton na 3 hours lamang naman ang mawawala kayo. Pwede naman tayong mag-divert sa secondary road na makakadaan tayo. Kung alam mo na, di ba, kung alam mo na doon ay bawal, dumaan ka sa dapat mong daanan na alam mo kung paano ka makakarating doon sa pupuntahan mo. Dahil yung sa traffic nga kung ikaw ay nata-traffic, mas malaki ang gastos ng gasolina, mas malaki ang gastos ng krudo. Kaysa sa tatakbo ka ng medyo malayo, mas bumabawas ang gastos mo sa krudo at sa gasolina. Pagkat mabilis ang takbo mo. Ganon din yun. Kaya siguro pinakamaganda, bigayan.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ma'am Jenny.
James, subukan.
Thank you so much. All right, James, your parting words?
I would subscribe to that point of view if only they started addressing the more fundamental issues like driver's licensing. This, you know, that's the key. They're giving licenses out like cotton candy. Everyone can get one. That should be addressed. Why go for the low-hanging fruit all the time, which is a private motorist? It's just like, because we don't have as big a voice, we're always the ones that we're used as lab rats. Stop it. So let's start looking at the real solutions that are tried and proven around the world. Licensing, a bit more discipline on the road, these situations where people park and use the road as their parking lots and stuff like that. Let's try that first before we go for radical solutions like this, which are really just going to create a little bit more havoc. I think there's just way too much risk. If you're looking at the solutions there are so many much easier ones. I think they don't want to touch because they're too scared, because they're protected by big groups or whatever, so they keep on picking on us. I just say there are solutions there. They know what they are. Just have the political will to do it.
All right, James. Thanks so much. James Deacon and Ms. Zenny Maranan. Thank you very much to our guests. Again, Ms. Zenny Maranan of FEDUDAP and James Deacon, of course, who hosts a show right here on 9TV called Drive.
Thanks.
Now, let's see the viewers' opinion through our online poll. Our question is the banning of private vehicles along EDSA during rush hours the solution to decongest EDSA? Those who said yes, 30%, and those who said no, 70%. And that's our opposing views for tonight. Tune in again next week for another bold and engaging discussion on today's most relevant issues. I'm Rod Nepomuceno. Good night. God bless. Happy weekend. By banning private vehicles during rush hour or rush hours, which is the 3-hour window, no, that they were saying, do you think it will decongest EDSA by the sheer volume, as mentioned by Ma'am Zen, the sheer volume, 80% of all the vehicles on EDSA are private vehicles. Do you think that by doing that, it might ease the traffic on EDSA?
I think there's an oversimplification here, and I agreed with Ma'am Zenny's point about 20%, 80%. That's a given. But I have to say that I think if they can't cope right now with the 20%, our public transportation is bursting at the seams. We've seen it. I mean, the MRT, the buses, the jeeps, they're all full. Lalo pa if we give up our right to the private cars, okay? Now, I agree with what the mayor said of Bogota when he said that a developed nation or a rich nation is not one where the middle class are driving cars, it's where the rich are commuting.
Right.
And I would love to see a day like that. But I think we'd miss that boat. I mean, look, the infrastructure is just not there. So we have to look at other alternatives. And I think that just by banning private cars, whether it's 6 to 9 or whatever,
Or the specific
I'm against
day.
the principle of it, Rod, because I'm against our rights as private motorists. We buy a car, we pay road tax, we pay registration fees, we pay driver's license fees for 365 days a year, yet we kept getting restricted and restricted and restricted. I find it's got to be unconstitutional at least. You're telling me that I have to pay 365 days a year, then slowly by slowly you're taking away from me. Now I agree to the 6 to 9, and then they come up and they say, you know what, it's kind of working, but now it should be 6 to 9 and 6 to 9 in the evening as well. And then it'll be, and it's always us, Taya. Why always us? Now,
but do you agree, though, that some of those rights, though, I mean, not all rights are absolute, right? I mean, the government
I agree.
can clip some of those rights.
Absolutely. I do believe that driving a personal and private car is a privilege and not a right, which is why I would tackle it from a different point of view. Rather than always restrict me, penalize me, take away my right to use my vehicle, why not charge me for the privilege? We get the same aspect when we talk about air travel and holidays.
Heavy traffic along EDSA, the country's main thoroughfare, has become a daily scenario. According to DPWH, there are almost 300,000 private vehicles that ply EDSA daily. These cars compose 8 of 10 vehicles on Metro Manila's main road, not to mention thousands of buses and taxis that share this 24-kilometer road. Traffic mayhem has cost us more than 2 billion pesos daily of economic and workforce losses. The Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, predicts losses will amount to 6 billion pesos daily in 2030 if the problem is not fixed. In order to ease the traffic gridlock on EDSA, Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board member Ariel Inton proposes to ban private vehicles to pass EDSA during rush hours from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning. Meanwhile, the MMDA calls Inton's proposal unrealistic, pointing that it would restrict the people's right of mobility and that until an effective mass transport system is implemented on EDSA, private motorists could not be swayed from using their vehicles. Welcome to Opposing Views, a hard, straightforward discussion of today's most pressing issues. Across different administrations, diverse plans to decongest EDSA's heavy traffic were introduced and obviously to no avail. LTFRB's member Ariel Inton has a new proposal, and that's our debate question for tonight. We ask, is the banning of private vehicles along EDSA during rush hour the solution to decongest EDSA? Good evening, I'm Rod Mamasapano, and this is Opposing Views.
Sabi nga ng chairman ng LTF ng MMDA at maski ng ating mga namumuno sa hanay ng transportasyon, sinasabi na napakalaki ng nawawala sa ating ekonomiya sa nangyayaring traffic na nagaganap.
Yes.
Kung ating titignan sa ngayon, di po ba sa EDSA, 80% po ang private na nariyan.
80% of all the vehicles,
Of all the
80% are private,
from EDSA.
private vehicles.
Pero kung titignan mo ang public utility, 20% lang ang meron kami. At sabi niya nga kanina, wala raw tagapagtanggol at wala nagsasalita pagdating sa private. Kami man ang napupuna namin, ang mga private, pagka kami ang may kasalanan, nasa amin lahat ang sisi, nasa amin lahat, sa amin ibinibigay lahat ang dahilan ng traffic, kami raw lahat. Pero kung titignan mo, kahit anong tingin ko, bumabiyahe ako sa EDSA, mas marami ang private kaysa sa public.
Pero ang sinasabi nga nila, most of the time, yung nanonotice ng mga tao, no? Yung let's say, yung mga buses, medyo matagal sila sa bus stops, minsan 15 minutes para to get passengers and all that. And yung mga wayward, sinasabi nila mga wayward jeepney drivers, no? Ano masasabi niyo doon sa mga opinion
niyo? Alam
niyo?
mo yung inihinto ng 15 minutes kung minsan ng mga buses, kasi nga traffic, di ba? So maghihintay na lang sila. Pero siguro kung maluwag ang kalye, kailangan sumunod sila doon sa batas na kailangan nilang gawin. Magsakay, magbaba, alis ka agad. Di ba? Magbaba ka, tapos magsakay ka, alis na.
Yeah. Okay.
Dahil bakit sa ibang bansa, di ba, ganun? May limit na time na para magsakay ka at magbaba ka. Kaya kailangan sumunod tayo doon. Pero para sa akin, talagang huwag ma-offend. Dahil ako'y may kotse rin, siyempre, mas gusto ko, nasa ang dadaanan ko yung lugar na maluwag. Pero ngayon, ba't ko pagugustuhin? Mas gusto ko, i-divert ko na lang ang sarili ko sa pagpunta sa ibang secondary road para makarating ako sa paroroonan ko.
Right. Okay, James,
if you want to book a flight to Boracay on Easter or Holy Week, you're going to pay more, right?
Yeah.
And you expect that. You want to go and travel to visit your relatives in Christmas time, you expect to pay more. You want to travel off-peak, you pay less. Why can't we do the same with
so what you're
motoring?
saying is the gantry system like in Singapore,
Like
where you pass
Singapore,
through
London,
EDSA.
exactly.
When you pass through EDSA, you get charged.
Exactly. Now I am given a choice, and I don't feel robbed of my rights. Okay, I understand what you're saying about, yes, there's police powers, and they still have the right to regulate. But I'm given that decision to make. So if I go to work, and I know this from when I used to work in the heart of the city in Salcedo, a lot of the employees who are sort of around middle income, maybe 15, 20, 25,000, they had a private car. They were allowed to freely travel on EDSA wherever they wanted to go, but parking would cost them somewhere around 10 grand a month. They made a decision, it's not worth it. But the decision is theirs. So I say the same thing. We look at congestion charges so that we can say, do I really need to travel at peak time?
Yeah, okay.
The decisions with me. Maybe I can talk to my boss and say, boss, can I come in at maybe 10 o'clock? Could we work out some kind of thing like that? Because it's the same way that our employees used to talk to us about the traffic and the parking problem. They would say, listen, is there any way you can negotiate in my package a parking space here? It's like that.
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting at.
Okay.
I just don't think that we keep being the butt of all these regulations because we are not very well represented.
Right.
I mean, ma'am, you represent the jeepneys, the buses are well represented. All of these groups have great spokespeople.
And they have a loud voice.
They have a loud voice. For private motors, none.
Okay. Ma'am Zenny, ang point ni James na bring up niya, and I think it's an important point, is that kung binawal niyo yung mga private cars sa EDSA, then all of these people na hindi na magdadala ng private cars, they will obviously take the public transportation, which as of now, medyo puno na. Nakita natin MRT, halos tulakan na, and everything, and the buses as well. No? Anong masasabi niyo doon? In other words, the public transportation system cannot accommodate itong mga tao na mag-give up ng private cars and they will ride public transportation. All right, joining us tonight in our discussion is Ms. Zenny Maranan, President of the Federation of Jeepney Operators and Drivers Association of the Philippines, or FEDJODAP. Ma'am Zenny, good evening.
Good evening, Rod.
Ayan.
Good evening, Dave.
Thank you for joining us again. Welcome back to Opposing Views. Ma'am, a quick summary. Ano yung position nyo with regards to this question? Should private cars be banned sa rush hours on EDSA?
Sa panig ng public utility, kami ay tumutugon sa sinasabi, nakikiayon sa sinasabi ni Board Member Ariel Inton. Sapagkat kung titignan mo, ay talaga namang kailangan sa oras na yon sapagkat yung 3 oras na hinihingi. Sabi nga, rush hour in the morning. And it's only from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Ano ba naman yung 3 hours na ipagbigay ng ating mga kababayan?
Private cars, all right.
Private cars.
All right. Now, on the opposing side is no stranger, motoring journalist James Deacon. James, Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, Rod.
And welcome to the family.
Thank you
by the way.
very much. Thank you.
Congratulations on Drive. And what are your thoughts on this debate question?
Well, I'm sorry, I have to disagree. I'm from the private motors side. I just feel that sometimes we're always left to be taya because we are the low-hanging fruit, because we are not really a well-represented group. And so every time there's a knee-jerk reaction, it usually hits us. Nobody wants to touch the buses, nobody wants to touch the jeepneys, but private motorists, because we don't have such a loud voice, we can't publicly go on strike, we always get the short end of the stick.
All right. Okay. Now let's start our discussion. Ma'am Zenny, I'll throw the first question to you. Do you think yung private vehicles po, do you think that they're the main culprit for the traffic on EDSA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Palagay ko hindi dapat ma-open dito ang part ng mga private cars na nagmamaneho, di ba? Kasi ako may kotse din ako eh.
Yes.
Pero